Axis Sally, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and COVID-19 are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is March 10th, 2021. It is the 69th day of the year. There are 296 days left in this year. It's the 10th Wednesday in the 11th week, and it's the 80th day of winter. We only got 10 days left until spring. Today is Mario Day. Mario Day celebrates and honors the success of the famous Nintendo character Mario. Yeah, Mario's first appearance was in the 1981 arcade game Donkey Kong, which I still love to this day. I have it on my Switch, just the old school Donkey Kong, no later versions or anything like that. I just have the old one, play it all the time. The success was immediate, with over 60,000 machines being sold at the time. The big stand-up machines that win the arcade, not the little handheld ones. After that, Mario replaced Donkey Kong as the symbol of Nintendo and became the success that it is today. Mario Day was embraced in 2016 by Nintendo. It is celebrated annually on March 10th, which is today. If you look at the calendar, it's March, M-A-R, March, abbreviation, then 10, looks like Mario. Get it? Got it? Good. Let's move on and see what else March 10th has given us. 1848, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo is ratified by the United States Senate, ending the Mexican-American War. 1949, Mildred Gillers, known as Axis Sally, is convicted of treason. She was born Mary Elizabeth Sisk in Portland, Maine. She eventually took the surname Gillers in 1911 after her mother remarried. Her family resided in Bellevue, where her stepfather was a dentist, until she turned 16. At 16, she moved again to Conneaut, Ohio, Conneaut, Ohio. I didn't know how to say the name, and I looked it up on YouTube to see if anyone said it so I can get the proper pronunciation, and I came across the worst promotional video ever. This thing was made in 2009, so it wasn't up to what normal YouTube standards are, but this thing was like totally game show host 1987. Welcome to Conneaut, Ohio, where you can live your dreams. It was lame. Conneaut, Ohio, if you need someone to make a better video, give me a call. I'm not the best, but I'm light years better than whoever made that last video. Anyway, back to Mildred. Like I said, she moved with her family to Conneaut, Ohio. She later went on to college in Ohio, but left before graduating. She moved to Greenwich Village, New York, where she worked in various low-skill jobs, waitressing, things like that, to finance drama lessons, because she wanted to be an actress and she wanted to be a star and all that stuff. She toured with stock companies and appeared in vaudeville a few times, but she wasn't able to establish her theatrical career. She eventually made her way to France and then to Germany to study music. None of her dreams were coming true, so she went back to the US, then eventually made her way back to Germany and did what all failed actors do. She took a job with the Nazis as a radio personality. Gillers' broadcasts initially weren't really political. They were just normal public service announcements, things like that. And that all changed in 1942 when Max Otto Horwitz, here it is right there. I don't even know how to pronounce that. He cast Gillers in a new show called Home Sweet Home. She soon acquired different names from the American GIs because she was basically tossing out propaganda, making them all feel homesick, things like that. It's just a tactic they all did during World War II. Anyway, so she got all kinds of really cool names. The Bitch of Berlin, Berlin Babe, Olga, and eventually Axis Sally. Her last broadcast was on May 6, 1945, just 2 days before the Nazis surrendered. She was arrested on March 15, 1946. She was eventually put on trial. Took a while to convict her, but she was sentenced to 10 to 30 years in prison in 1949. She served 12 and was released in 1961. She went back to Ohio in 1961 and finally got her Bachelor's of Arts degree. She died of colon cancer in 1988. What's funny is she's one of like 4 of these women that were arrested for this. 1969 in Memphis, Tennessee, James Earl Ray pleads guilty to assassinating Martin Luther King Jr. He later unsuccessfully attempts to recant his story, but he was total racist. Even Martin Luther King's family, years later, I forget the whole story, but they were backing him, saying that he had information and he was just a patsy, and they wanted to know the real setup. Basically, from what I read, I don't know the whole story, the family of Dr. King was trying to angle that it was a big conspiracy and all that, and he was basically a patsy. Who knows? 1990 in Haiti, the United States shows up to oust a military dictator 18 months after he seized power in a bloodless coup. Yeah, they didn't fight it, anything like that. This guy's whole presidency, his name's Prosper Avril, whatever. He decides to overthrow the president. After 18 months, the U.S. decides to show up, and it was hot there, and it sucked. Yeah. 2000, the dot-com bubble peaks. This was a big one. I had been buying stocks and stuff like that, and we were all riding the crazy train then. We didn't think that was ever going to end, and yeah, as we learned a couple years later, it ended. I didn't lose that much. I was kind of smart about it. I didn't go all tech, but I lost a little, not much. I know some people that lost a lot. 2006, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter arrives at Mars. It's still there to this day. Last I checked, it was still sending back pictures and stuff. Been pretty interesting. I remember it was seeing avalanches on Mars, dust devils, avalanches of dirt, I should say, not snow. But I guess it's not a mudslide because there's no water. Huh. Anyway, I wonder what that's called. Who knows? 2020. The World Health Organization officially announces the COVID-19 outbreak is a pandemic. Yeah, that's been a year to this day, and here we are. Thank God it's finally, I don't know if it's going away yet, but it looks like it's on its way out. I look at this chart on MSN every day under coronavirus news, and they have a chart that, it's a graph, shows how many new cases they have. And what I've been seeing over the last few weeks, it's just dropping and dropping and dropping. So it's good news. Maybe all this stuff we're doing is affecting it and we'll be back to normal someday. Released on March 10th, 1997, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yeah, that was on TV. It was amazing. The show is based on a 1992 film of the same name. The series ran for 7 seasons and aired a total of 144 episodes. It starred Sarah Michelle Gellar, Seth Green, Charisma Carpenter, James Masterson. Had a lot of people in there. It was a good show. I mean, I never got crazy about it, but there are plenty of people out there that have gotten crazy about it. I worked at Netflix when they actually lost the contract for this. So when Amazon or Netflix or Hulu or anyone, they get a contract for a certain amount of time. Well, the contract for Netflix and Buffy the Vampire Slayer expired like midnight one night. I happened to be working the graveyard shift. Oh my God, our phones lit up with women crying that we didn't have Buffy the Vampire Slayer anymore. It was ridiculous. I mean, all night, women sobbing that this show was gone. I couldn't believe it. It was the weirdest thing. And I guess that got back to headquarters because within like 48 hours, we had a new contract for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was ridiculous. I actually had a woman, I had to take an escalation from a rep, and she had to go through her whole life story and the challenges she's faced. And the one thing she could look forward to is going to sleep watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and pretty much alluded to I've ruined the rest of her life over a TV show about a cheerleader that kills vampires. It took everything I had not to just start laughing at her. I don't know. I felt bad she was upset, but I just wanted to start laughing. It was a struggle. Born on March 10th, 1946, Jimmy Valvano, American basketball player and coach. He was a great coach. Sadly, he died of cancer in 1993, 2 months after his famous ESPY speech. This speech he did at this ESPN award show. It was a beautiful, motivating speech. If you ever get a chance, I can't put it up here or, I'll get demonetized and all that stuff. But just look up Jimmy Valvano, his speech. They call him Jimmy V. Just put up Jimmy V speech. You'll find it on YouTube. And just keep in mind, this man dies a couple months later. So less than, I think it was like 6 weeks. So just watch that, and it's neat. It's a really cool thing. Every once in a while when I lose faith in all mankind, I go back and watch that. But yeah, he was born on this day in 1946, Queens, New York. Died on March 10th, 2010. We lost Corey Haim. He was one of the two Coreys back in the 80s. He was in like Lost Boys and Lucas and all these other movies. And he died of a drug overdose. He had been doc shopping, basically getting, 20 Vicodin from this doctor, then going to another doctor for the same thing, getting 20 more Vicodin. Anyway, he died. He had all kinds of Vicodin, Valium, everything he can get his hands on. And he died of an overdose. If you ever want to read anything interesting, go to his Wikipedia page. And his story of life in Hollywood, it's not a pretty one, especially for a young man. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go forth, have a successful day, be nice to each other.